Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 20, oh my goodness, of Cold Reads, brought to you by Resonant Audiobook Solutions. I am Laura Nicole, your wonderful host, and today we are reading chapter 15 of Stonebriar Casefiles, Bad Alchemy. This week I have a full cast, which I'm very excited about. Even some new people, well, a new person that has not been on the show yet. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my cast, and then we'll jump right into the reading. So first, let's say hello to Charlie Blanchard.
Hello. Good evening.
So tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a longtime lurker within the podcasting environment. I've done some work for PG Holyfield and Abby Hilton and several others. But in my daytime, guys, I'm the director of IT for a nonprofit performing arts center in Manhattan.
Very cool. And then next down the line is returning cast member Janra Roberts.
Hello.
Hello. And just remind everybody what you do.
I am program director at Valley Free Radio, WXOJLP, and I run two shows there, Press Start to Continue, which is basically nerd music, and Civil Politics. I run Sound and Civil Politics, which is trying to talk about current events without yelling and being jerks.
Awesome, and not an enviable task. And next up we have Miss Marleigh Norton.
Hello.
And tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, so voice acting wise, I'm primarily a voice actor. I've had a bunch of roles over the years, primarily with Pendant Productions and a live stage radio group in Boston called the Post Meridian Radio Players. I
just found video of that today, so that's kind of awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Was it one of the ones I was in? My stuff was mostly old.
I was searching for you, so yes. Yes, it was.
Sirens of War. If you can find Sirens of War, that's one of my better ones.
Awesome. And next up, we have Mr. Paul Ellis.
Good evening, everybody.
And what about you? What do you do?
I am a storyteller, a maker, and an unrepentant nerd down at paulkellis.com. I'm a podcaster and author, and I've been kind of hanging around lurking in the background for the past year or so. So it's good to be back.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to have you back. And we will have Stacey Cooney joining us in the podcast as soon as technical issues are resolved. However, her lines are going to be later in the script, so we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who can inform Stacey, she will be reading the role that is in orange. So the way that I have this cast set up, Marleigh is going to be playing female centaur number 1 and a young filly named Valina. Paul is going to be playing an elder centaur called Camosian, who is the father of one of Beatrix's oldest friends, Nomina, who is spoken about a lot, but we have not seen her in this story. Janra is going to be playing Valina's brother, Baltier, who is in green. Charlie is going to be playing Random Centaur number 2 in purple, and Stacey, when she gets on, is going to be playing Valina's mother, who is in orange. And so let's go ahead and pull up the script, and I will give you all a quick recap of what has happened in the story so far. So, Beatrix Stonebriar has a new quest to prevent a curse that is threatening the entire magical world of the Elder Wood. And so she needs to collect blood willingly given from the centaurs, just as others of her company are going out to seek blood from other races that originated in the Elder Wood. As she was flying through the woods going to the Red Ravine where the centaurs are housed, she was chased by a red-tailed falcon, and after beating the falcon at the chase, slammed into a root and hit the water pretty hard. And so now, at the beginning of this chapter, she is waking up. And here we go with chapter 15. The whole waking up after a near death or actual death experiences was getting old. How many lives was the mother going to grant me before my luck ran out? I opened my eyes and saw that I was warm and thankfully dry. There was a fire and several very large equestrian-shaped shadows on the other side of it.
Why do we allow this point ear to live? We have shown no such leniency to the others that trespass here.
A female was speaking. Her voice was ready for blood. She was likely one of the younger ones and still learning to temper her aggression. A hoof stamped a few times near me. I opened my eyes as my body severely disliked being jarred so harshly. A voice called out.
All of you will calm yourselves. In all things, this one has showed respect for our kind. As such, she will always be tolerated here, and those who threaten her will come to know my blade very quickly.
I recognized the voice. It was Camosian Farrunner, father to Nomina. She had taken the surname Watchkin when she joined the Watch. I hope, I started to say, but then the water remaining in my throat caught up with me. I turned and retched, coughing up any remaining water. With heavy breaths, I was able to continue. I hope that no one will come to blows on my account. I came here out of necessity for all beings within the Elder Wood. If the centaurs of the Red Ravine do not assist, all creatures will be destroyed. They all looked at me as though I had two heads. Then I realized that why they were looking at me strangely. Sorry, I have just come from Troll's Hollow and still had their speech pattern in my head.
What do you mean that all creatures will be destroyed?
One of the centaurs said.
There is no foe that we can't beat. We are the best warriors around.
I got to my feet. My body was battered, and I could tell that my shoulder was dislocated. Some of my bones and fingers looked out of place. As such, moving was possibly the worst idea I'd had in a long time. You can't fight the earth around you. Non-existence can't be cut down by a sword or kicked away. I fell back to the ground. Maybe passing out was a good idea.
Do not strain yourself, Stonebriar. You were close to death when the Naiads brought you to shore.
Camosian dropped his chestnut-colored body next to me and helped me up with a finger. In his other hand, he had a woven litter.
Lie down. We can hear you just fine without you injuring yourself further.
We have never trusted to point ears before. Why should we trust this one?
Another young centaur asked. This one was male.
Enough!
Camosian bellowed, stomping his hoof with a resounding clap.
You young foals and fillies will be the death of us if you cannot control yourselves. Do you think the other races are weaker than we are?
The gathered made a loud cheer that indicated that they did.
Perhaps one-on-one, or with a small group, we would be victorious. But if we were to war with the other races, all of them would stand together to defeat us. While they would have many casualties, their unity would ensure that they would win.
The crowd before us murmured.
My daughter saw this, and because she knew that the only way for centaurs to survive was to learn how to stand with the other races of the world, she left us to build those bridges. This fairy was one of her first companions. She is the one who helped reconnect us to the rest of the Elder Wood, even if that relationship is strained. Risking life and limb in the effort to maintain that friendship is worth our time to hear out. Respect is given when earned, and this fairy earned our clan's respect long before you all were born.
The young ones bowed their heads. Such a scolding would have made Vervain Oakroot proud. I took the moment of silence to speak. Going to the human world is not for everyone, and even those of us who have chosen that path face challenges every day to maintain the delicate balance that is there. Centaurs have rarely gone to the human world because they believe that there is no place for them. You have to forge your own way, and if it is right for you, you will find one. But now it is this home that needs your help. Truly, I only need one centaur to help. We must reconvene the races that originally crossed the void to create the Elderwood.
We would have to leave the ravine?
A young blonde filly asked. From my vantage point, in Camosian's hand, I could see all of the young centaurs much better. The thought of leaving obviously scared them. Yes, I am assuming you have no Fey healer, and I cannot make the trip on my own. Not like this. Nomina's father looked down on me sternly. The face of a leader was there, not the person that I had known for years and often thought of as my own old man.
The elders will gather and decide who will go. We will have an answer shortly.
He laid me on the ground near the fire, propped up against a root.
Look after her.
He instructed to the young herd.
If any harm comes to her, the responsible one and all associated will answer to me.
With that, the centaur took up the horn at his side and blew out 3 long blasts and 2 short. I assumed that was the call for the elders to convene. The youngsters stood around the fire. I could still cast a few spells, though I was not sure I was strong enough to hold them off if they did decide to attack.
What is it like?
A young filly asked. Her hair reflected the firelight. The sun was setting fast behind her. I really did not have time for these questions, but until Camosian came back, what else could I do? What is wet like, kid? I said, clenching my teeth as I adjusted my position to support my injured arm.
She is no satyr.
One of the young males reared, showing his hooves that looked too big for his slender legs. It's an expression. I know the races probably better than you do, Junior. Calm down. I said, all this in my most menacing tone. Few centaurs were magic users due to their aggressive nature. If they calmed their minds, they could possess that power. These young upstarts were not anywhere near calm. I could smell their hormones from where I was. It was more powerful than the sweat on their flanks.
I'm not a junior. I am the first of my name.
This fool would not let up. Oh, really? If you were to use your considerably sized head, you would realize that I was referring to your age, as I am at least 3 centuries older than you. Now, if you would kindly stop showing off for this young one, I can answer her question. I rolled my eyes and beckoned the filly closer. The blonde filly came up beside me. She bent her elegant cream-colored legs to rest at my side.
So, you actually live with the humans?
Her voice was almost timid. I do.
Are they mean to you?
Her big brown eyes were filled with newness. She was very young, if I was any judge. Sometimes. Most of them are fascinated with us. Our kind are legends to them. Other humans are just scared, and they don't know how to adapt to us. Those are the ones that are the most dangerous.
What do you do about them?
She asked. The other young ones had gathered around me. Suddenly, I was the adult. I know I'm over 400 years old, but this was the first time I'd ever felt it. Well, the best thing that anyone can do when they're faced with people who act against you because they're frightened is to talk to them, or try to. If talking doesn't work, using actions helps too. Some of the fools started to straighten. I don't mean by fighting either. Their collective shoulders slumped. Your strength can be used for more than just battle. You can use it to help those who are weaker than you are. Imagine if you found a centaur, younger and smaller than you, hanging from a tree, bound to fall and die without your help. What would you do? A painted male spoke up.
Try to pull them back or pull the tree back.
Exactly. I started to rise and remembered that whole bit about excruciating pain in my arm. Gently, I let myself back down on the litter and took a deep breath. You see, centaurs are strong of both heart and body. You will find the humans have just as much heart as you do. Those commonalities are what we need to focus on for both sides. That's how coexistence happens. Leaders know when to fight and when to work together. The group fell silent. Then the blonde one asked,
Do you think they would accept a centaur like me out there?
I thought about that for a time. They all looked hopefully at me. Then I looked over at the blonde's flank. She had either been disciplined many times or trounced in sparring with all the welts that I could make out in the shadow. With all the welts I could make out shadows for. Not everyone is meant to be a fighter or a gatherer or whatever others expect us to be. There are times when we have to explore to see what the best course of action for the individual is. Making the jump from being just around centaurs to the mixed human realm can be tricky. I would recommend just venturing out of the ravine first. Get to know your neighbors here in the Elder Wood and figure out what you like to do. Sorry, guys. One moment. You are all young yet and have time to figure out who you are. Don't be so eager to jump out of the wood just yet. Heavy hoofbeats approached from the shadows, accompanied by the imposing forms of the elders.
Well said, Stonebriar,
said Camosian.
Perhaps it would be prudent to have this band of misfits help to rebuild the watch.
I'm sure Turret could use the help. I looked at the older centaurs and marveled at how much larger they were in comparison to the adolescents that I was surrounded by. 18 hands tall was average for most centaurs, but some of the females were more slight, and occasionally there were one or two giants among the herd. What is your decision? Will you help? Another spoke from the shadows.
Camosian speaks highly of you, Stonebriar, but the rest of us are not blinded by friendship. We would know your true cause. It's not working.
No, I can hear you. You're good.
Oh, good. Sorry.
I am willing, but I must speak quickly as time is not on our side. I rushed through the story. Here are the details. I came home from the human world to recuperate from an attack by a human. When I arrived, I found that someone had cut 7 tulips and laid them at the foot of my tree. We found out that an elf had done this crime, attempting to fulfill what she and her human lover thought was a spell for harmony. Instead, they invoked a powerful destructive spell that would turn the entire Elderwood against all living beings within it. It would either kill all who live in it or force us out. One of the elders raised her broadsword. She echoed the same statement that one of the young fools had made.
Centaurs are not frightened. We can defeat any foe.
The blonde filly that sat beside me did not stand, but I swear she straightened to her full height.
You cannot fight the earth if it decides to open up beneath you.
Quiet, Valena,
the mayor called. I realized that she was related to the girl, probably her mother.
No, Stonebriar is right. If the earth turns against us, we would be powerless to stop it. We have to, what is that phrase the tenders use? Pull the weed out by the roots?
The girl Valena took me up gently in her hands.
If it means protecting our herd, I will go with Stonebriar, if she will have me.
That surprised me. By the murmurs from the armor-clad adults, it shocked them too.
what would be required of Valena if she accompanies you back to Troll's Hollow?
Asked her mother. A small vial of blood, barely a few drops. After that, either my friend Turek or myself, provided I can find a healer, will escort her home. But tell me, I turned to her. She looked at me when the light hit them. I could tell her eyes were green. It was haunting and lovely. Can you run fast?
I am the fastest of my age.
I looked to Camosian, who smiled in return.
I do not want you both to go unprotected. Baltier is Valena's brother. He will join you and defend you, if it should come to that.
I agreed. In a few short moments, the centaurs adjusted a bandolier to fit my litter. Since Valena was closer to the ground, she would carry me, as it would be less jarring on my already wrecked body. I was given some numbing ointment to apply if the pain was unbearable. It was not much, but it was all they could offer without drowning me in ale. As we started to leave, Valena's mother called out to us.
Wait!
Valena turned. I could hear Baltar come trotting up behind us.
Daughter, you have made me proud this day. It takes courage to take such a risk. Baltier, I want you and your sister to come home safely. Do you hear me? You are not to go galloping off to find trouble.
The young stallion huffed.
Yes, Mother.
And you, Beatrix Stonebriar of the Fae, do not take my children from me.
If I can, I will keep them from harm, I said. She nodded.
That is all I can ask, I suppose. May the Great Mother guide you, and the trickster be your ally.
Baltier pounded his fist once against his chest. Valena started to do the same, but thankfully she remembered that I was still there. Instead, she bent her front leg to her mother in somewhat of a curtsy. Then we were off through the wood on the long journey to Troll's Hollow. And that's the script. Yay! So thank you all so much for being with me. And Stacey, I'm so glad you were able to join us. You were definitely an awesome Valena's mother. Valena's mother, unfortunately, doesn't have a name.
That's okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and let everybody pimp their stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and go down the line. starting with Charlie.
I'm sorry, what are you asking me for?
Where can people find you online?
Where can people find me online? Well, the easiest way to contact me would be at Conundrum on Twitter.
And I will have that in the show notes. Janra, how about you? How can people find you online?
You can go on Twitter. It's at PressStartVFR. You can go to starttocontinue.com for my radio show, or civilpoliticsradio.com for my other radio show.
Awesome. Marleigh, how about you?
I'm on Twitter at Marleigh, Marleigh, and my portfolio is at web.mit.edu/Marleigh, also spelled Marleigh.
Fantastic. How about you, Paul?
I can be found at paulkellis.com or at www.wirelessadventures.com. I've completely thrown what I was going to say here for a minute. You can find me on Twitter at Paul K. Ellis or at Wireless Advent.
Fantastic. And Stacey, where can people find you online?
Probably the easiest place to find me is Evidence-Based Radio on Facebook. And you can find my website there, evidencebasederrata.com.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank my fantastic cast. You have been listening to Cold Reads, read Chapter 15 of Stonebriar Casefiles. And you can find out more about Resonant Moon Audiobook Solutions at resonantmoon.com. You can also find me, Laura Nicole, at Laura Nicole on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group for Cold Reads, which is facebook.com/groups/Cold Reads. If you would like to be on the show, or if you would like to submit a short story for our upcoming season, starting in September, you can send me an email. The email is lauranicoleaudio@gmail.com. That's LauraniColeaudio@gmail.com. If you want spoilers and want to buy the book, the link is in the show notes. It is on Amazon, both in paperback and in digital copy. And I do want to let you know that this work is covered under a Creative Commons Attribution, Not Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 international license. That means that you can download this show, you can repost it, you can share it. Just don't change it because it's perfect the way it is, just like you are. And make sure that you link back to this YouTube page. And if you like what I'm doing and what these awesome actors who join me every show, which right now is every day, if you like what we're doing, go ahead and click the subscribe button, because I will be doing another happy dance when we get to 20 subscribers. And then I'll set other benchmarks, because I really want this to be a really cool thing that we do. Thank you again to my fantastic guests. You can all unmute your mics and say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
And good night to you all, and we'll see you tomorrow on Cold Reads.